Hello everyone and welcome along to Chargers TV. Rollrick's Justin Bryan alongside you here. And JB, obviously we're back in studio this week. We did a podcast early in the week though because we were so busy, but we have some very important news to share that's worth coming into the studio at a very late Thursday night here.
Legitimately at the 11th hour. Some massive breaking news. Unfortunately, we did suspect it during the week after some COVID cases were breaking out in Victoria that there was the potential of a lockdown to go ahead. Unfortunately, that has gone ahead, meaning that our scheduled games against Waverley will not go ahead on Friday night, and we've got a couple of releases and statements as well with that one.
Absolutely. Let's read the statement from NBL 1 South, and it reads the following. Basketball Victoria and NBL 1 South have agreed to postpone all scheduled round 13 NBL 1 South games this weekend in the wake of Victoria going into a 5-day lockdown. And the South Australian and Tasmanian governments are imposition of isolation requirements on Victorians arriving in their states. Both organisations hope to commence play in round 14 beginning on July 23, with plans to reschedule postponed games to be confirmed in the coming days. The community's health and safety is paramount, and we will continue to follow the latest guidelines and requirements. Basketball Victoria and NBL 1 South will continue to follow the advice of the relevant health authorities, and that ends the statement there. Now, we were due to play the Waverley Falcons on Friday night in round 13 of NBL 1 South, JB, but unfortunately it's not happening.
No, it isn't happening. We did suspect it earlier in the week. It was only brought forward at Wednesday's press conference to Mark Nash and Anthony Stewart, and as they said, they were going to listen to the relevant authorities and guidelines on there. Obviously, the club also making a statement, and we'll have that up on the screen for you now. Following today's announcement, recording Thursday night, from the Victorian, South Australian and Tasmanian governments, NBL 1 games scheduled for this weekend are now off. However, full refunds for all tickets purchased will take place. Now, we don't have any need for people to reach out with their details. It will be a matter of the club seeing who's purchased those tickets and clear refund given. So the game at this point, we're calling it a postponement. They're going to obviously check whether it's possible to reschedule, whether that game's going to be cancelled, whether the season again gets reshuffled. We're not quite sure. Again, those details will come to light in the coming days, and pretty much pending how Victoria will look by Tuesday night and how the government assesses it from there. And
to everyone in Victoria, stay safe over this 5-day lockdown. Let's move on to some positive news, JB, because it's been a big day of basketball as far as I'm concerned, news-wise.
Yeah, what a week in basketball it has been, as some famous folklore football fanatic used to say, Ronald.
Absolutely. Coles Express has been named naming rights partner for NBL 1 across all 5 conferences, and great to have Coles Express on board as naming rights sponsor, JB.
Yes, I do believe we've talked about it before, Ronnie. Last time there was any form of formal naming rights sponsor, whether it be NBL 1, whether it be Siebel, Godfrey's way back in the day. Last time I seen a Godfrey's logo was on your godforsaken mothball, mothhole referee shirt. No, great to have Coles Express on port. Local convenience store. There is one not far, as I think you've said before, Ronnie, just up the road from the Chargers TV studios, and one on the way to our home base in Queenstown. So very conveniently located for us, that's for sure.
Coles Express is one of Australia's leading fuel and convenience retailers with 723 stores across Australia and close to 5,700 team members. Coles Express is always nearby to help keep Aussies on the move, and certainly you would hope in some benefit of this sponsorship deal, JB, then maybe the players and the teams might get some fuel vouchers or some food vouchers to help them on road trips and that type of thing, etc.
Yes, some coffee and some fuel vouchers, no doubt, to keep the teams on board. As you mentioned there, Ronnie, over 700 stores, over 5,700 team members, a very valued sponsor and a welcome sponsor to the league. As we mentioned, it's been quite some time since a competition of this level in Australia has had a naming rights sponsor, and it's great to have Coles Express on board.
Absolutely, and of course we've put some things up on our social media throughout Thursday when we were recording this, and a few videos and other photos that we were able to obtain from the league. So once again, welcome to Coles Express coming on board for NBL 1 across all conferences, and of course you'll hear us on the broadcast the next time we come to you. It will be the Coles Express NBL 1 South.
Yeah, brought to you at the Kingborough Sports Centre for your Mackay Timber Hobart Chargers. Our sponsor list is getting longer and longer, Ronnie. I'm going to have to apply to almost commentate the Melbourne Cup if the sponsor list gets any longer. But no, it's great to have all this support. The league values it, the clubs value it, and couldn't get off the ground without them, that's for sure.
Absolutely, and of course you can follow your Mackay Timber Hobart Chargers on their social media. You can give them a like on Facebook, you can follow us on Twitter, you can give us a follow on Instagram, or you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. So don't forget to keep up to date with all the goings on here at your Mackay Timber Hobart Chargers, where anything could happen, JB.
You're not wrong. We've gone bad news, good news, and some slightly concerning news at the moment. I mean, the news coming out of the Vegas exhibition tournament that the Boomers are playing in at the moment, and our Opals are playing in it as well. Bradley Beal of the United States has gone into health and safety protocols, and there is a genuine concern that Argentina, Nigeria, Australia and the United States could be in some sort of concern or bother heading forward to the Olympics in Tokyo in only a couple of weeks' time. So ears to the ground on that one. I know Basketball Australia will have a pretty strong stance if anything comes aboard, so we're hoping that all goes well as well. So a lot of news. It has been a big week in basketball, Ronnie.
Absolutely, it has been, JB. And to round us off here, you're going to hear from your Mackay Timber Hobart Chargers Chairman Brett McKay, JB.
Yeah, we're going to travel into the future, recording this legitimately at the 11th hour on a Thursday night. We're going to be up at the 8th hour, the 9th hour of the morning to catch him coming out of 7HO FM. We'll try and get some content from 7HO up as well. Great media sponsor and partner of the club. We're going to catch Brett for a bit of a statement, how he felt the road trip went, how he feels the team's tracking. Obviously, the important situation of the lockdown at the moment, how that affects the club, whether there's any repercussions coming back from our previous weekend, and how things are going to look moving forward. So, of course, we didn't get the preview of our game this week. We will throw our SoundCloud podcast up for everyone to have a retrospective listen of what could have been and what was, and sort of follow that pathway and that journey. But no, massive week of basketball, and yeah, you will hear the best of, well, not the best of, the rest of how the club stance is at the moment from our chairman, Brett McKay.
Absolutely. And as JB mentioned, you, of course, listen to our podcast. We'll get that up on the weekend, I believe, JB.
Yeah, we'll do that Saturday. So after everything sort of settles Friday night on what would have been, we'll get that up on the Saturday. People can have a retro listen to what our thought process was coming in, and then obviously you can reflect back and go, well, you know, it all come to fruition. So yeah, we'll get that up on Saturday and get some a bit of listening out of our viewers on Saturday afternoon.
Absolutely.
It's a late night, Ronnie.
It is. I won't even say what the time is currently right now. But that will wrap us up for this little mini episode of Chargers TV. We hope to be back with you in studio next Wednesday for our preview show, where we will look ahead to round 14 as the Ringwood Hawks come into town to take on your Mackay Timber Hobart Chargers at the Kingborough Sports Centre. But for now, we're done. On behalf of Justin Bryan, I'm Roll Riggs, and now here's the interview with Chairman Brett McKay.
Chargers Chairman Brett McKay, and Brett, obviously some disappointing news coming out of the decision last night, and no games this weekend for NBL 1.
Yeah, very disappointing for the whole of the league with the lockdown in Victoria and the Department of Health's instruction, where I believe Tasmania's now locked the border as well. So it really means that the guys and the girls have this week off, but they trained last night with intensity. They're still keen. They want to get on the floor, and we want to be playing again next Friday night back at Kingston.
How are we looking for a game? Obviously, there was talk during the week that there was going to be that potential of a lockdown. We weren't really sure on anything until about 5 o'clock. Had the club or any of the teams in Tassie put in any extra safety procedures if Waverley had come over?
Well, at that point in time, without a lockdown, there was no need for any extra safety procedures. It's no different when we've locked down to anywhere else. If you're on a plane and out of that state and landed in this state before the hard border, then all you have to do is monitor yourself for symptoms. I know that Waverley were willing to take COVID tests, because I've been naturally talking to NBL1 regularly through yesterday, and there was even trying to get them on the last flight out of Melbourne last night if it was logistically possible.
Any talks since, obviously we got that announcement 5:30 last night, any talks with the league since around potential rescheduling, or are we sitting here waiting for the results of everything in Melbourne?
We're still sitting here waiting. I know Dean's working around the clock on it. When I spoke to him again yesterday, he was just waiting for the call, but he'd already started work on how can we reschedule, what can we do, trying to still fit the season within the parameters. Naturally, we've got the NBL kicking back off reasonably soon, so the players do need to have a break. So Dean's really working around, can we keep the season going at the full length? Naturally, the Chargers have a bye in that last week, so is there a possibility of using that bye? He is looking at every option and not leaving a stone unturned.
Obviously talking about rescheduling, massive schedule just gone on the weekend, the Chargers 3 games on the road. How much does that give the Chargers some potential credit moving forward, knowing that they've had this massive road trip just gone and we're potentially looking at a rescheduled or another shortened season?
Look, the triple header was hard on everybody. Let's be fair on that. It was really hard on everyone, but you looked at the way the men gelled, and even listening to John O this morning, they actually played better in their third game than their second game. So you could actually see that rhythm and rhyme coming through on the men's team with it. With the women's team, naturally we've seen where they are with that, and as we've said, we're already focusing on 2022, and we're looking at rebuilding and getting that team up into a very competitive level next year.
What are the club's plans at the moment? Obviously an unscheduled bye, so to speak, the potential of, waiting to see what happens on Tuesday when Victoria comes out of lockdown. Has the club got any plans at the moment for the teams to stay active, or is it business as normal, return to training Monday?
Be return to training Monday. Again, they had a hard session last night, both teams, even though they knew they weren't playing. So that'll give them a good rest after a 3-game road trip. But unfortunately, you look at the other side and they were hitting their straps, they were in rhythm, were more game ready and game fit than any other team in the league, and we want to keep that rolling on.
We speak about being game fit, we speak about having a lot of games under the belt. Have you had any communication with the Northwest and Launceston? How are they sitting at the moment with everything?
Look, both of those teams, we speak pretty much regularly, every week at the moment. Look, Northwest are naturally on top of the ladder, and Lonnie, I think, are about 4th in the women's program, so they're sitting very well. They've got their fitness, their game match ready, and we understand that all 3 of the Tassie clubs have played more basketball than anyone else in the league last year and this year, so we're all in the best condition we can be leading into a final series.
Are you looking, at the top of the table? Our club sitting at second. You've got obviously the Northwest Thunder sitting first. How tantalising is that as a club president, essentially in the first active year on court, to be a part of a team that is genuinely contending for a championship?
That's a bonus. As I've always said, the club was going to be happy to be back on the court in 2020. We have succeeded in that. We are very successful on the court in the men's program. The women's program we know we need to work on. But having that bonus is just fantastic for the club and for basketball in southern Tasmania.
And finally, just a comment, Brett, Coles Express coming on board with the league for naming rights sponsor over the last 24 hours. Any quick comments on that one?
It's fantastic to have such a multinational brand like Coles coming on board. It really shows the level that NBL1 is at, and it's showing that we're able to achieve these sort of sponsorships because the brand is becoming such a strong brand Australia-wide.
Brett McKay, once again, thank you for your time.
Good on you, JB.